So everyone, this is Steve-O. This is the man, the chocolate snake. He's got many, as known as, many nicknames. But he's a Prestige Fit OG. And what I mean by that is that he's one of the original gangsters, the original members of Prestige. One of the original trainers from like over 10 years ago now.
Yeah, it would be. Yeah.
Yep. And the reason I wanted to have him on first is that he's been with us the whole journey anyway, despite him living down in Melbourne now, and doing a lot of other things in health and wellness. But he's also one of my best mates. And he's got he's been through a lot, and he's got a lot of cool stuff to share with a really cool outlook on life and health and wellness and everything. He's got a lot to share. That's why I've got him here. And he so kindly said yes to come and be interviewed, which is awesome.
What an intro.
What an intro. Mate, I could talk for days about you, bro.
Yeah, keep going. It's fine. I'll just listen.
Mate, what do you tell us about you? How would you introduce yourself and you tell us about Steve-O?
Well, given the crowd, I guess I'd introduce myself as explaining what Isaac said, that we I got to know Isaac actually just before the beginning of Prestige. So I was already a personal trainer for quite some time. When I say quite some time, it was only maybe less than a year, but a few months, something like that. And I realized, well, I got to get myself a trainer because I want to learn from the best. And I'd seen Isaac training back down at the old AIF college, which changed to Max College. And I thought, this guy looks like he knows what he's doing. So, he sorted me out with some PT sessions, and I learned a lot business-wise that I was able to then adapt to what I was doing. But then him and Jared talking about Prestige, and I thought, man, I'd love to be a part of that. But at the time, I was looking at traveling. So I thought, well, wouldn't it be cool to just be a part of it just until I kind of take off and do my own thing. But then I sort of changed my plans. I thought, no, I want to stick around. This is really cool what they're creating, and I want to be a part of it. So we had some great years there. Eventually I took off and went to Toowoomba, set up a little PT studio up there. And then, then my life really took a turn with getting diagnosed with cancer, and went through a pretty long battle through all of that. But it was really a really great time in my life, as well as being a hard time, because I learned so much through it and so many changes going on in my life. And that's why I actually get excited when we have events in the world, whether it's, personal or whether it's worldwide events like we've got at the moment, where, I kind of get excited a little bit because I know that some shit's happening, some changes taking place. And whenever that happens, there's always great opportunities in it, even though there can be a lot of, pain or upset or discomfort. That there's always great opportunities through it. So I think we're in a pretty exciting time at the moment, is one way of looking at it. But now I reside in Melbourne. I'm down here. Beautiful weather today. I've been on the beach, training clients down on the beach in the sand. We've had just
Melbourne
absolute
beautiful weather.
Blue water. Pardon?
Melbourne has beautiful weather.
Sometimes, yeah. So really, really love just still doing personal training down here. I had a bit of a break from it for a while, but got back into it because I realized I just absolutely love working one-on-one with people, in particular, helping them through their fitness goals, helping them become stronger and better. But also with training comes the personal development side of things, which is especially awesome. So yeah, I love seeing clients, who probably don't look or feel the way they want to be feeling, and they sort of transform to get the ripped abs. That's all fantastic. I love seeing that. But what I love seeing more is just the change in what exercise and fitness actually does to us, and how it changes us as people. It's really, really amazing. So yeah, that's me in a nutshell.
That's cool. That's just a brief sort of outline of you, isn't it? And I guess that's why, like, you know, Steve and Jared and myself, and there's a couple of others actually that are in the Prestige Fit fan community, because I kept all the OGs in there for this particular private group, because I think that they're not only our best mates, but they have a lot of value to give, and can also, you know, be a great support network as well for all of the current Prestige Fit fam. On top of your clients, hope you don't mind me keeping you in there, Steve.
Nah, I love being part of it, mate. I never want to be excluded, hopefully.
Yeah. Well, we'll see after this interview.
Of course.
Man, so...
Might be banned for life.
Yeah, depends what we talk about, right? And so, like, obviously there's a lot going on in the world right now, man. What I'm curious about what's, you know, what you're curious about right now. Like, is there something that you're right into at the moment? Is there, you know, what are your thoughts around what's going on in the world at the moment? What's got you thinking about?
Look, that's a broad one to answer, because there's just so much going on. So it's impacting everything. Everyone's lives is getting impacted in some degree. What I'm seeing a lot of is I'm seeing some bloody crazy people. Yesterday, this woman who was driving behind me, when I pulled over to park outside my house, she came up the side of me, had her window down, had her little latex gloves on, and she just screams at me. She's like, "Why are you following me?" And I'm like, sorry, you're behind me. And anyway, we had this whole thing going on, and she was just bloody crazy. And she told me how, like, 3 times that day, so therefore I must be following her or something. I don't know. But I'm seeing a few crazy people come out.
Yep.
I'm also seeing people who are just, very uncertain. I mean, I'm uncertain. I don't know what's happening. Down here, we're sort of waiting on news to see if we're going into a stage 4 or whether we're staying at a stage 3. And if we do go to stage 4, what does that even mean? Can we go outside? Can we still train? You know, can I still keep my business going? Because I'm still, you know, I don't really run online things. I like to do face-to-face, and I'm still working, you know, down in the beach, down in the park, doing that sort of stuff. So the questions are like, can I keep doing that next week, or am I going to have to change and adapt? But everyone's having to change and adapt. And I've seen some people as well having panic attacks and not knowing what it's brought on by. And I think it's just brought on by, you know, there's everything at the moment. There's so much stuff. There's so much news. And one of the big things that I'm seeing, and I think, you know, I get really frustrated seeing anything on TV. I very rarely watch anything on TV, but I think some of these media outlets sort of have a lot to answer for in the fear that they're putting into people. Mm-hmm. And I love lately seeing on YouTube and different social media networks and whatnot of so many people doing great things for the community, like, you know, on and doing live cooking things. And I'm unmuted by the host. Oh, there we go. Am I on?
Muted you by accident. I was trying to. Someone else came in and I muted you just for 1 second.
But yeah, we're seeing a lot of people do great things for the community. You know, comedians doing their bit, and people like artists getting on and playing songs for people live, and all these different things. And there seems to be a real, you know, some people are going one extreme whilst the other bit of the population's kind of going the other extreme, and you're always going to get that. But one of the things I've been focused on for the last quite a few weeks now that this has all been happening, and I've focused on myself, is explaining to people and myself to just keep that balance of what we're taking in. You know, we're so influenced by what we're hearing, what we're reading, what we're seeing, and most of the conversations we're having with people are about the current events. Anything we're hearing on the news or radio is about it, and not that it's all bad, because it's mostly just facts, right? Mm-hmm. But we have to recognize that it's negative facts. It's negative information rather, and it's giving a negative influence on us. So we therefore have to balance it out. And I think more now so than ever in these times, we need to be basically listening out or watching or feeding off things that actually make us feel good, or taking the time out every day to list out what you're grateful for and focus your mind on that. Because I really believe that it can end up going into such a strong sort of downward spiral with just that negative influence. And at first it's like you don't really notice it. You
Mm.
notice it when it gets fucked, excuse my language, when it gets too bad. That's when we notice it, when we get a panic attack or when we start feeling depressed. And, we notice it then, but we often don't catch those early signs of it. So I think that's a very important thing to be aware of. But like I was saying before, yes, everyone has uncertainty right now and everyone's needing to adapt to the changes going on, and there's changes in absolutely everything. And I think if we can take the view of being happy to adapt and seeing it as, hey, this is an opportunity in this, there's a challenge, opportunities, and, we always grow through our challenging times. If you can look at it that way, it's exciting times rather than depressing times.
I agree with you. We put out a just a question the other day, which was prompted from one of my trainers, and I thought back to all the stuff we'd learned with Curic, and and quite the simple question to ask yourself is, what's great about this? What's great about this?
Such a powerful question.
Super powerful, and inevitably your brain will just kick off and fire away, and you have to answer that for yourself, right? And it doesn't even matter if it takes some time, right? But you will eventually answer it with something. There's got to be some great in everything. And so I want to get away from coronavirus.
Yeah, good.
We've heard a lot about that, right? Give us. I'd love to know, like, part of this interview, I really want to touch on some of your life experiences and what you think in your life, because you're obviously, in health and fitness, not a lot of people know that it takes a wee bit to become successful and to be consistently successful, because, the average personal trainer lasts 3 months in the industry, and many more fail a month after month after that. And to be over 10 years in the industry, Steve-O's been longer than I have been in the industry. So, for you to be so successful.
Only a little bit.
But we're blessed to have you in the team, man, and still have you around now. It's wicked, and to have you as a great mate, obviously. But what have been some
Likewise,
of the... Thanks, man. What have been some of the most life-changing experiences for you in your life, whether it be health and fitness or whatever, and why?
Look, in relation to health and fitness, just starting that whole journey for me was definitely life-changing. It was when I was still a teenager. I was probably 18 or 19, getting into the gym. Some mates invited me to come along to a Saturday morning workout down at this bloke's home gym that we trained out of. And anyway, getting started on that, just, I was always the skinniest bloke in school and whatnot, and just being able to see my body start changing, but also seeing success in something I was doing. I was never, didn't really succeed in school all that well and other things. So for me, getting into the gym, just every time I'd go to train, I'd be, improving. I'd be lifting more weight. I'd be things changing. So that to me just, I think, taught me that, well, I can adapt and actually learn anything. That was really powerful. So I think that really set me up to then, taking the approach, well, anything I'm not good at or perceivably not good at or haven't learned the skills of in life, well, that's a matter of just learning and doing and being consistent, and then the results come. So for me, that was certainly life-changing.
Oh, yeah. Powerful habit. That's an important thing for everyone to know, eh? That just because you don't skill set in something, you can learn it. Yeah, it's awesome.
Exactly, and I think physical training is the best, in my opinion, the best sort of example of that. When you take someone who doesn't believe that they are a fit or sporty or whatever person, and they start actually training that and start, changing their body and realizing that they can actually perform these lifts and do these activities, it changes that mindset, because something you thought that you didn't have that identity of, now all of a sudden, well, that's you've created that purely just by applying discipline, being consistent, and giving it a crack every day. So that's the first thing. The next thing for me, biggest thing, one of the biggest things in my life was the whole cancer journey, as I mentioned. Now that had so many different aspects to it. So talking about health and fitness.
Can you explain to the guys, like, what sort of cancer were you diagnosed with, and what, like, was the starting sort of point of that? And then go into...
Yeah, so the starting point was, it was interesting because, I mean, if you looked at me then, you'd think, man, this guy's healthy as. He looks fit, he looks strong, he looks healthy, he's lean. But really, I wasn't healthy. I was, my weekends were pretty full on with partying, and whilst I was eating pretty well during the week, and I was following a lot of the macros of foods that you want to have, getting the right protein, getting, a decent amount of veggies in each day and things like that. But I was also eating a lot of just really shit types of processed meats and just stuff that, wasn't necessarily all that healthy. And one of the things I learned through that is it's possible to be training and eating in a way that builds a great physique or whatever, but it's not necessarily lined up with health. So I basically created a pretty toxic environment in my body, which I was unaware of, or consciously unaware of, and wound up in hospital in a really bad state. I was basically got dropped off in emergency, and I was kind of telling my mate, look, just wait, I don't want you to come in, I'll be fine, And I'm one of these guys, I hate getting any medical attention, I'm a bit stubborn like that. So by the time I actually went in, I stumbled across the floor, and they had to like come in and come in with a bed and put me on it and wheel me through to the ward. So it was a pretty sort of stage at that time. And the way the doctors described it was a very aggressive cancer, or the state it was in. It was very aggressive, and it was a T-cell lymphoma, they called it. But they originally diagnosed me with a different type of lymphoma, which I said, well, what's that? And they said, oh, it's the one that Dr. Goodrum had. So I said, oh, well, that sounds all right. She seems fine now. Mm. And then, they re-diagnosed it later and said, oh, actually, you've got this one. This is actually a real bad one. So that wasn't so cool. But basically, it was all through my guts and everything. And it was. I was in a pretty bad state at that time. The first couple of weeks of hospital, I don't remember much of whatsoever. Isaac and the boys came down and visited me down in Toowoomba Hospital, and I think I was passing in and out type thing while you were there. But the best thing during one of my greatest memories through that entire time of dealing with all that was actually being in that hospital, and like being in a pretty I mean, we talk about uncertain times. That was way more uncertain times than what we're in now.
Yeah.
For me, and I had these boys come and visit me, and as soon as they walk in, they're just giving me shit. They're just telling jokes. We're just in stitches laughing between like me passing out or whatever was happening at the time. But that's actually one of my greatest memories of if we looked at that whole journey, just the experience of that. And I believe that, talking earlier about what we're subjecting ourselves to with what we're allowing in, with whether it's news or other things, I believe that one of the most powerful things in life is our circle of influence and the people that we have in our lives. So, me having such awesome friends with Isaac and the other boys, and some other people in my life too, who just always made my experience such a positive one. But just on that, I thought I should mention, I'm probably going on a tangent, but just on that, one of the things with that circle of influence is it's so important. I've found that not only do you have to just find, great people in your life, but also you got to kind of sometimes even educate others around you. And that kind of applies to the times we're in now, because there's a lot of your friends or people that they might not be negative people, but it may be that every conversation that they're having with you now is talking about the negative things that are happening at the moment. And if that's the case, I feel it's your responsibility to actually tell them, hey, I don't want to be hearing this. let's talk about something different. Exactly like Isaac did just before. He said, we're talking about all this, virus stuff. And he said, let's just change the subject and talk about something different, because
something way
that's
more
one
positive.
of the things. Pardon?
Something way more positive.
Yeah, exactly. And we're still on it now, but talking about it in a positive sense of, that's one of the real lessons I learned through that time, is because whilst I had some real, great people around who would come in the hospital and laugh and give me a lot of positive sort of energy and whatnot, if you want to call it that. I also had people who would come in and see me, and because of the state of how I looked, I looked like I was going to die at any moment, they'd come in and start crying. And on a couple of occasions, I literally said, look, get out of the room now, please. Come back when you pulled yourself together, because it's not that there was anything wrong or bad with them having that reaction. But for me, I wasn't in a position where I could take on that sort of negativity or it was making me feel down. So just because something's making you feel kind of down doesn't mean it's necessarily bad. But I think it's in these times that we need to be a little bit more conscious of absolutely not allowing any of that in, or as very little as possible, and balancing it out with just way more positivity and things that actually make us feel good. Because when we're feeling good, we're going to be feeling good about ourselves, and then we can actually look at the situations objectively and look at the opportunities and look at things that are great about the situation, not be so focused and kind of trapped by everything else that's going on. So that's definitely one of the biggest things that is just how I kind of learned to manage the people around me and the influence that was there to stay positive.
I think that's really cool. I think you said as well, like that some of those people that you turned away at the hospital when they were crying were family as well, right?
Yeah.
So I think it's important, like, to know that sometimes you have to lift each other up as well. There's no point in you all being stuck in this negative glue, and all being sort of dragging each other down. Someone's got to be pulling everyone up, and you've all got to equally meet with some sort of positive feelings around what's going on. Because they're, like, again, going back to that same thing, what's great about this? What's great about this situation? Do you agree?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I absolutely agree. And just on that question, that's such a powerful question. And it's something that I ask myself still every single night before I go to sleep, which might sound a bit crazy, but I ask myself, what's been great about today? Yeah. And the reason I ask myself that is, Isaac and I learned that from Kurek Ashley, but the reason I ask myself that is because it gets me thinking about all the great things of the day and why the day was great. And a great example of that, the time when that I realized the power that had was actually the day that I got diagnosed with cancer. It was in the evening, towards the evening, when I actually got the diagnosis. But that whole day for me was like the most difficult day of my life, difficult day of that whole time of what I can remember. It was kind of, I probably experienced more physical pain and discomfort that day than any other day, but also it was the day that I think emotionally everything just hit me. And I just kind of became aware of the situation I was in and what was happening, and just kind of grasping the weight of it all.
Yeah.
So it was a really, just emotionally, physically, everything. It was just a really tough day, toughest day I've ever had. And to top it off, at the end of the day, I get diagnosed that I've got this cancer, and who knows what's going to happen with all that. So I remember still, before trying to get to sleep that night, out of habit, because it had been a habit for a while. Am I still on?
You're still talking. Yeah, your video is lost. We've lost video.
Yeah, my someone's trying to call me. Is my video on?
Yeah, your video's on. Yep.
Yeah, cool. Sorry about that. That was bloody Jared trying to call me.
Jared.
So anyway, out of the habit that I've been in, I asked myself that question, and I certainly did not feel like asking myself the question, but because I'd been doing it for some time before that, I asked it, and nothing came to me. And I thought for a little bit longer, And eventually something came to me. I can't remember what the first thought was, but I think it was like, oh, well, at least I'm in a hospital, not like out, out somewhere I can't be helped. And then I thought of, I've got nurses helping me, and I thought of all these different things. And then I've got friends who have come and visited me. And then I've got my parents who are on their way flying up from Melbourne just to come and be with me, and all these things. And then I started thinking about, well, there might be some opportunities in this. And I thought, well, maybe this was going to make me stronger as a person. And I thought, well, maybe this is all purposeful. And I started, these thoughts that came to me were getting more and more positive as I went, to the point where I'm laying there all of a sudden, just feeling like the luckiest guy in the world. Like I'm feeling like, man, what a life I've lived already, and all these things, but all these people around me, and all, like I was just like flooded with all this gratitude I was feeling. And it wasn't long before that I was like the most depressed I'd ever been. Like I was just having the worst day of my life. So that's a real example of how powerful asking a simple question like that and stewing on that question can actually be.
Yeah, that's a super powerful story, man. Thanks for that. Super good.
No worries.
So, man, what's got you at the moment? What's got you inspired in life at the moment? Because I know you've got a lot of people that you follow, and you do a lot of reading and a lot of following and stuff. What's got you inspired at the moment?
Look, at the moment, I'm kind of inspired by a lot of things. There's a lot of things I want to be doing, and part of the challenge has been just getting time and focus too. So I want to actually be doing more to help people who are going through cancer by sharing my story and some of the strategies I've used and things I've also helping people on the exercise and nutrition side of things with all of that. I just feel like there's not a lot out there, particularly for men. If you go and I've done a lot of research on different cancer coaches and things, and they're all, well, most of the information out there is these kind of like older women who are like, not that there's nothing wrong with that, but I'm saying as a young guy who's been through it, like I don't want to be listening to them. I want to be listening to someone who I can relate a little bit more with. So there's that. And yeah, as I say, my challenge has been sort of getting more time and focus into that. And I'm kind of feeling like, well, maybe this is my opportunity. I'm still able to do a bit of PT in the park and whatnot, but maybe this is an opportunity that gives me a load of time. We don't know how long that we're potentially going to be kind of locked in for. And yeah, maybe that's part of, so I'm really inspired and excited for that, to see what comes out of it at the moment and what I can sort of do. But I'm also, I'm inspired by people who are just, adapting and doing different things. Like even Isaac yourself, like what I've seen you putting together in the Prestige family, it's really cool. Seeing how you've been able to create such a great, well, you've already had the great community, but you've able to put that community online now. And now that most people are home, they can be watching this, they can be getting their workouts and everything else. So look, I think at the moment there's just, there's so much opportunity with the circumstances we have. In terms of what specific inspiration I have, I've been learning a lot from good old Lewis Mocker.
Yeah.
In his mastermind group for quite a while, and he shares some really inspiring stuff, but really practical stuff. So I think I used to be, if I look at my sort of personal development over the years, I used to be a lot more inspired and kind of motivated by some of these, personal development gurus like your Tony Robbins of the world and whatnot, who they're all great, but I was probably more so just pumped up a bit by some of that stuff. Whereas now I'm much more interested in getting deep into real practical things that I can do that really benefits my life. Not to say that other stuff doesn't, but I think there's probably, I'm seeing like I'm not needing as much of that just to kind of stay positive or stay inspired, and now it's just keep on working at things every day.
Yeah, I agree. It's like it's like the book, the Millionaire Next Door, right? And it's like, rather than
Great
being
book.
inspired by those hyped up people that we see as like kind of celebrities and stars, it's more like someone who's actually, on par with us and quite level, but he's also have a great deal of success, probably on par with some of them, but he doesn't sort of flaunt it in the same way, if it makes sense. It's way more
exactly
practical, real life things. Yeah, I think that's it's super important. I think it's got like a growth that you go through over the years. I get a lot out of Lewis Mockere as well. He's a good guy if any of you ever want to follow him. And I think it's funny, like I've seen quite a few memes at the moment with the circumstance that we're in. It's kind of like a big reset button for a lot of people, and all those people that were complaining about not having time to do certain things or not having enough time to spend with their family. Suddenly you'll see a bunch of other problems come out because people have too much time.
Absolutely.
There's some alarming statistics and stuff, sad stuff coming out, with domestic violence and those sorts of things and divorce rates and whatnot.
Look, I think we're going to see both. I think we're going to see a hell of a lot of, and already we're seeing it, like domestic violence is just gone crazy. There's going to be, there's a lot of not great stuff happening at the moment. A lot of people are going to be losing their minds. A lot of people are going to be, depression's going to go up. A lot of people are so scared they're losing their incomes, and there's all this negativity. It's factual, so it's not just it's not just drama, but it's all actual facts of the negative aspects of what we're dealing with. But what we have to realize, and something I've been a lot more aware of sort of in recent times, is that everything's got its opposite, and we're going to see just as much as challenge as negative. And to me, it's all about what you're focusing on. You can choose to focus on what's going bad and what's going wrong. Not that we don't have to be blinded to it. Like, we still want to, for myself, I still want to know what's going on, and I want to be able to know what people are dealing with and how I can help them or whatever. I don't want to just be closed off, because I've seen some people going that way where they're just totally closed off. Oh no, my world's great. And, screw everyone else. But I think we need to be considerate of that, but also making sure that we're not, putting all our effort and time and energy into that. And we can actually see the opposite side. We can see that, hey, there's all these blessings. There's all this great stuff happening. I don't know what it's like for you, but the last few days in Melbourne, the sky has just been amazingly clear.
It's been good here. It's been very
I'm
humid
assuming
and hot.
that's because the whole planet is using, all most factories on the planet are shut down, and there's hardly any cars driving and no planes, and so there's all sorts of environmental benefits, and just
huge.
If your eyes are open to it, you'll see it. But I feel like the more sort of negative stuff we're subject to, then it kind of glazes your eyes over. You can't see, so it's a matter of focus.
Great, very good point. It is all about like the rose-colored glasses or the dark-colored glasses. Like that's it comes down to. So I've got a couple of questions for you, man. So what are you?
Cool.
What's one big thing that you've failed at that we can learn from? What would you say one of the?
So many things.
Choose one and tell us and give us a good lesson around it.
Let's see. What's one? A lot of the things I've I guess I'd say I've failed at, I probably see them differently now, that they've been great learning experiences.
I knew you were going to flip.
Probably because I choose to look on the positive side of it,
Love it.
No, but also I see that they've actually led them in the right pathway, and they've had to happen in order for, success in other areas. So I'm grateful for all of it. But one of the things,
is there a recent one where you're like, oh man, that wasn't the right way of doing that, and that sent you on a different direction?
Yeah, there definitely would be. I'm trying to think.
This is how Steve-O's mind works. It's hard to think of those failures because it's all part of the process, like And in the forefront of a lot of self-development, they talk about that a lot. Is that you've got to fall over to make those mistakes to keep progressing. It's just part of the journey, right? But when you're focused like Steve is, it's hard to sort of see those because that's just part of what's happening. It's part of the journey, right?
Part of the journey.
Yeah.
Well, so one of the things that's changed a lot with me in the way I think about things is, for a while there, this is several years ago, I was kind of going down a lot of the education that we were all doing kind of was kind of more going online business with our nutrition stuff we were doing at the time and whatnot. And I was kind of watching and listening to a lot of these people who were really successful in their online businesses. But what they were successful at was teaching people how to do it. They hadn't actually done it before. Well, they'd done it themselves, but not with new material. They'd only done it. They've got successful by trying to teach people how to be successful at that thing.
Yeah,
so it's kind of a real false kind of, anyway, to cut a long story short, I tried a couple of things sort of in that space. And I tried to, kind of just launch online things or trying to kind of had the mindset that, I can, make all this money or achieve this type of lifestyle in like a really short amount of time. And that was really naive of me, but it was also, I look at a lot of the people that I was following and learning from at the time, and I look at them now and, there's not much difference with them now even. And other people that have followed those same kind of platforms, and I see them now, and I'm sure you see them as the same thing. And clearly they haven't probably achieved any further success than what they had 5 years ago, perceivably. But anyway, that's probably one of the biggest mistakes. That, again, it's not really a mistake because it's led me to where I'm at, but it led me to realizing that anything you do, and training is the perfect example of it. It's got to be consistent, and it requires discipline, and it actually, there's no quick way of achieving something. Just like a physique, you can't just, if you've treated your body like shit for years and years, you can't just walk into a gym and do some expert's, workout program and diet, and 8 weeks you just shred it. It doesn't work that way. It's, so I kind of, my mindset now with everything is I'm a lot less kind of, I guess, excited or let's get into like massive goals over a really short time frame. And now I'm more sort of looking ahead or in that same, shorter time frame. I'm looking at just small incremental growth in areas, or even like the influence I'm having even in other people's lives is kind of more, it's small incremental growth. And, I'm not trying to reach 100,000 people in my business. I'm literally working with like 20 or 30 people, but focusing on giving them the best value that I possibly can. And I know once I kind of achieve that, well, then the other opportunities are going to flow from that. So I think that's probably one of the biggest kind of things that whole way of business was, in a sense, a failure for me. And it's not like I'm never going to do anything similar to that, but I'll certainly do it in a very different way. And with the focus first on just, okay, how can I add more value before like, thinking that 100,000 people are going to buy my shit that's like not even proven yet. Like, it's, just crazy. So
makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
So, man, you're like, obviously, what I'm going to do is when I post this video up on Facebook, if you don't mind, I want to put your transformation pic just from when you were going through cancer to what you look like now.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. And you still look like that now. Steve's always been one of those guys particularly after cancer as well, takes his shirt off, ripped abs, and is always looking his best and very consistent with his training and lifts some pretty significant weight for his size and with great intensity.
Not when I'm training with Isaac. It's very minuscule.
So he lifts the weight, and then I lift him with the weight. Nice.
Yeah.
Tell us, like, being healthy, fit, and strong, like you are. Like, what does your morning routine look like?
Look, to be honest, my morning routine is up until recently. Now, I'm working a bit later in the mornings and whatnot now, but generally it's just getting up early, smashing some quick food, and heading to the gym to see clients
Mm-hmm.
and working with them. I always go through my sort of mental kind of routines with my, thinking about what I'm grateful for and thinking about my plan for the day and other things like that. But in terms of training and whatnot, I'm really excited for hoping. On one hand, I want to like keep doing what I'm doing, but on the other, I'm kind of excited for if we do get a full lockdown type thing, because I'll be doing some like my morning routines are going to be awesome. As for my evening routines and whatnot, and I get to just work more on my, kind of technical training stuff that we generally, if you're anything like me, you tend to put off. There's all this mobility work and lifting really light weights in a really focused manner that we know, and doing all these things that we know is going to help us massively. But we just don't do it, because when it's time to train, if you're anything like me, I start my workout and I want to get myself warmed up and lifting heavy as quick as I can, so I know that I'm like, yeah, I'm getting the most out of this workout. I'm hitting the numbers I want to hit, and whatnot. Whereas this is a great opportunity that, we can just, we happen to be kind of locked up for. I personally plan to get through this, moving, come out the other end, just moving better than ever, having, everything activating as better than it's ever been, and just my body functioning better than ever. So that's kind of my main focus, I guess, now. Yeah.
I'm with you, bro. I'm super excited about that too. It's what I've been putting out to the crew as well, in Prestige Fit Fam, and their programs is more about muscular endurance. So keeping that mechanical load and tension through their body, even though some of the workouts are quite short that we're doing, but like peaks of intensity. But yeah, working a lot on mobility and doing those things that I think you're the same as everybody, really, that they put that off quite a lot.
Absolutely, we do.
So and it's a time to really read and master those things as well, I reckon. Read, research, rest well, and become a master of those things.
But I mean, a lot of people are going to be doing that, and it's great, because we can. We're sort of going to be bound more to cooking our own meals, not going out every meal type thing. Cooking healthy food. We've got the time to prepare healthy food and everything else. We've got the time to work on our mobility, work on our cardio, work on, the different aspects. And you might not be set up for, going down the gym and deadlifting a heap of weight, but there's still so much we can work on more than before. And, I think it's a great time for being able to do that. But there is going to be just as many, probably more, I'd say, people doing the complete opposite. They're going to be, smashing their beers every day, sitting on the couch, binging Netflix, watching news, which is even worse, and basically just letting this time go. And they'll get to the other end of this period, and they won't be any better off. They will have just completely wasted it. And therefore they will have actually gone downhill, because you never really stay the same. So, look, I'll be very, generally I'm very much into my routines of things. But in this period, if I'm home all the time, man, my routines are going to be, pretty solid. I'll be getting up early. I'll be getting into my list of stuff, and not that I'm not going to be working all the time. Don't get me wrong. I'm going to have my time of leisure, and I'm watching a show on TV or whatever I feel like doing. I'm going to have my time of just, but I'm going to be, I'll be very regimented as well in terms of my morning routine and my evening routine, and just making sure I'm still getting the most out of each day, but also, I don't know what I'm going to do yet in terms of sharing during this time, but I definitely want to get online a bit more and just share and help people where I can, just provide a bit of content here and there.
Yep.
So my neighbours actually, so I'm in an apartment building. I don't have any weights or anything here. All I've got is a couple of kettlebells in my car, but my neighbour's got a barbell and some stands and whatnot and a bunch of plates, which I've been using the last week. And but they're looking at potentially moving up to their they've got a investment property up in the country, so they might be going up there, and if so, they said they're going to take all their gear, and I'm like, oh no, don't do that, because you can't buy anything anymore. So I'm thinking, oh well, what am I going to do? Like, what if it's like 3 or 6 months and I can't get equipment, and I'm just training with like literally a couple of kettlebells and that's all I've got? And I thought, no, it'll still be great. I'll still like, I'm my functional, all my functional stuff's going to be just through the roof. I'm going to be, moving better than ever. I'm still going to be working. And one of the things I've been sharing with my clients recently is, you know, and I'm sure Isaac's probably already shared something similar with you guys, but when you're lifting a really heavy weight, you know, you might be squatting or deadlifting, you know, over 100 kilos or something like that. Your muscles don't have much option but to fire and actually put that load through them, and they've got to kind of work. Like, if you've got challenges in your body, well, maybe that some of those muscles aren't firing as well as they should and various things, but that load's going to get put through your body. Your muscles are going to be working really hard to lift that weight. Whereas when you're doing the same movements with very little weight or even no added weight, if you're not thinking about it, you can just do it super easy. Like, you just do a simple squat, sit on a chair, stand up. It's effortless. Whereas if you do that squat, thinking of every single muscle you're activating, thinking of that movement so precisely, and you've got so much focus into it, you can be working just as hard as if you've got the 100 kilo barbell on your shoulders. So a lot of it just takes so much more mental focus and energy to do these things. And that's the real skill of lifting that we can really hone in on during this time, which is really cool.
Agreed. It's all about that mechanical load, and really focus is the main point to lifting, eh? It's much more powerful to be able to fire up your muscles voluntarily as opposed to the involuntary response that we have to give to with heavy weights, give your muscles, eh?
Absolutely. And you get that voluntary response as you're talking about, that activation, and then in a few months' time or whenever we can get back into the gym, you get under that heavy barbell and you're going to be lifting it better than ever. You're going to get such a better response from your body, out of your body, and get way better results through what you're lifting.
Yeah. Awesome, man. So if you had just 3, so imagine someone like a brand new person was joining your business or just getting into health and fitness now for the first time because they saw this great opportunity. What would be your three top tips to get
3 top tips?
You like that?
I love it, mate. I love it. So my 3 top tips for someone who's just getting into their health, like getting control of their health and fitness.
Yep. For example, they were just about to start or they just started, but they need some sort of motivation because they're like, whoa, man, the world's changed so dramatically. What are your 3 top tips for that?
My number 1 top tip is get the right people around you. So if you're in this community, you're set. You've got Isaac there, you've got the team, and
I am later.
Best time ever, because he's now at home most of the time, just delivering content and value. So you've got you've got more focus on you than ever before, probably. But yeah, that's the first thing. Get into a great community and get the right people around you, and usually that's my first point today, but usually my first point would be accept that it's going to be hard. And that might not sound all that, motivating or inspiring, but yeah, accept it's going to be bloody hard. It's a hard journey, because if it was easy, everyone would be in amazing shape. Everyone would have great health. But the fact is, take a look around. I mean, not everyone, but a huge percentage of the population in Australia are so unhealthy. They're suffering from all sorts of problems. And I'm not just talking like physical movement. I'm talking about like, all diseases and obesity. And most people are not happy with how they look or feel. And that to me is really sad. That's the reality for most people. They look in the mirror even and just feel shit about themselves. And what's that doing to the rest of their lives? If you're starting off your day like that. But yeah, that's the reason that everyone is like that, is because it's actually a bloody hard journey. And I was like, just to go back and share a little story about my cancer journey, just to relay that point was, so a guy who Isaac and a few others of us were learning from at the time, an exercise scientist, he set me an exercise program when I was sick. And he said, look, when you come out of hospital, you're going to have some time in between. I had time in between my treatments and stuff. So he said, here's your gym program. You got to get to the gym and do this workout 3 times a week. And anyway, I'd been home for about a week at this point, and I had got an email from him, and he just said, hey, how's your workout? How are your workouts going? How's your training program going? And I replied, I said, look, man, I haven't got to the gym yet. I've been feeling absolutely shit house. I'm really struggling and yeah, just no energy, but I'm hoping to get into it next week. Anyway, because I just had the biggest dose of chemo ever. So it's pretty understandable, I thought. Anyway, I get a reply from him. No sympathy whatsoever. He just says, Steve, you have cancer. You're going to have a lot of days where you feel shit, but you got to do this. You just have to. And after that, I never missed a workout, in the time. For me, is it changed my mindset to, yeah, of course it's going to be hard. Of course it's not going to be comfortable. Like, who am I kidding? Yeah. Like, yeah, you've got cancer. Like, come on. This is going to be like the hardest thing ever. So it took that excuse away. So that's why I always start with that. Point 1 for people is accept that it's hard, because if you accept that it's going to be like a really hard journey, it's going to be a long, drawn out, challenging journey. You accept that now, well, then there's no bitching and complaining when it does get really hard. Because even though you might be really inspired and motivated now, and you're like, yeah, I want to work out, I want to get the body, I want to feel great. You're not always going to feel like that. You're going to have days where you feel shit. You're not going to want to get out of bed. You're not going to, you're going to look at your friends who are maybe in worse shape than you, and you're going to look back at yourself and think, oh, I'm not doing too bad. It's okay. I don't really need to be doing this. So it's at those times you got to remember back that, hey, you've already accepted it's going to be hard. And then there's no excuse. So that's the first thing. Second was the community, but I already mentioned that. Third thing I'd say is just really setting yourself, knowing that it is going to be hard. You got to really set yourself to being consistent, adding, having that real active discipline. And one of the great things, one of the great tools rather, that has helped me a lot with discipline for certain things is setting up, you remember this, Isaac, our action trackers. Remember those?
Oh, yeah,
we used to have our action trackers in the studio with all the things we had to do each day. Yep. We had like 10 different disciplines that we were trying to do and cross them all off. And then at the end of the month or whatever, we'd compare our notes of how we're going. But these action trackers, it's been a little while since I've used one, but I've used them for many different things. For example, a couple of years ago, I was trying to wake up earlier in the morning. I was trying to get up at 5 instead of 5:30, which isn't, a big jump, but for me it was hard. So I created just an action tracker where I had like a month calendar thing, and every day I'll just cross it off when I got that right, when I'd done it, when I got out of bed at that time. And, you get those crosses on every day. And if you miss one though, the key is not to beat yourself up. Yeah. Because again, it's about focusing on what's right. So if I was to add a 4th point, am I allowed to do that, Isaac?
Of course you can, man. You can make up the rules.
Fourth point is,
we're going to be sitting here at the 12th point.
So exactly. Yeah, if I get to 12, stop me. But I definitely won't be invited back. But yeah, the 4th point is focus on the positive. Focus on what you're doing relatively right. So if you miss a day, don't focus on that. Beat yourself up and say, oh, I screwed it up. No good, because then you'll probably just miss the next day. If you miss one day, it's looking at all the ones you've done leading up to that you've crossed off, and congratulate yourself for that and say, yeah, I've done that, done this far, celebrate it. And then focus on the next day and aim to get more that time, you know what I mean? So, and that goes with your workouts too. Every time you do something that is helping you to get towards your goal, celebrate the shit out of it. Now, I don't, you know, actually reward yourself in some way, probably not with like a liter of ice cream, but reward yourself in terms of just telling yourself, man, good on you. Because sometimes we can do a workout, and I still battle with this. You know, I'll go into the gym and I'll know what I've got to do that day. I know what I'm aiming, the numbers I'm aiming to hit on my lifts or whatever. And for whatever reason, I'm feeling weaker that day and I just don't hit it. And sometimes I'll walk out of the gym just feeling like, oh, that was, you know, disappointing and I haven't done too well. And I've got to just pull myself up on that and say, you know what? No, it doesn't matter how I've done. I put my effort into it. I got to the gym. I did the workout. I loaded up. I did the work. Like, well done. And actually celebrate it and reward myself by, you know, having that feel good. Because if you're feeling shit after every workout, your subconscious is going to just be like, hey, stop doing that. It's not good for you.
Yeah.
Whereas if you're feeling great after every workout and you're telling yourself how well you've done, and you're like, you know, I'm so proud of myself for what I've achieved today, even though I might not have gotten to where I wanted, but I've still done it. I've done something today. Yeah, just absolutely celebrate that and make yourself feel good, because then you're just creating that positive loop that's going to get you to doing it again.
Exactly. Positive mental habit, emotional habit, which just creates that momentum, right? And once that, you know, it's the old snowball rolling down a hill. It's like once that momentum's underway, it's very hard to slow that down, eh?
Yeah. And I'm guessing that there might thought that were going to be nutritional or training advice. All that takes care of itself once you get that mindset. You know, the things I've mentioned there are much more important, because you get those down and the education comes. And the education never stops. I'm still learning. I'm still learning how I can train better, how I can move better, how I can even eat better. And all of that never stops. So there's no secrets really with, you know, with training, with nutrition. It's all there's a lot of information that can help the process, but yeah, it's just starting with something and consistently doing it.
Agreed. So that was point number 5 just there.
No, that was part of 2, I think.
So, man, a couple of last little things, bro, before we wind up. If you were to go back to your teenage self, right, and knowing all that you know now, what would you tell yourself back when you were, say, 15?
In relation to health and fitness or anything?
Everything, life. Be as honest as you want. I could tell what you're going to tell early Steve-O. But it's probably not kosher for this video.
I'll probably start with those 4 points I just shared, but no. Look, I'd be saying to myself, find what I find the most joy in, find what excites me, find what I'm passionate about, and also find what I enjoy most about actually helping others with, and just follow it and do it and learn how to add as much value to that as possible for myself, but also for others, and doing those things well. So I think, you know, my teenage self, I didn't have a clue what I wanted to do, like, you know, as a career or anything, but also with everything else, I was just sort of doing a lot of things, which is probably not a bad thing either, because I tried a lot of stuff. But yeah, I'd probably be telling myself, I'd probably be looking at things in my life now and telling myself, look, just focus on that. Just do that. Be more consistent, and do those little steps every single day, and be consistent with it, rather than just being all over the place and being distracted here and there. So, yeah, that's probably some of the main stuff I'd be telling myself.
Awesome. And the last question, man, this is what I want to finish on. And
Right.
it has to be quite concise, because if you had one billboard, right? If you had a billboard, Steve-O's billboard, but you knew the whole world was going to see that, what would it say?
Oh, tough decision.
That is a big question.
I feel like that needs a bit of time to think about that one. One billboard, what would it say? It'd probably say something like, I can think of so many cliche things, but what in my mind I'm thinking. In my mind, I'm thinking if someone saw that and read it, they'll be like, whatever, you know. Like I don't actually know. I don't actually know on a billboard with a few words that I could say that would actually, you know, sort of create someone to actually take action on that. It'd probably be.
So that's what you would want, though. You would want the world to take action on your billboard. From what? Is that what you want?
Yeah, probably. I'd probably, if I had one billboard, I'd probably say, do one thing today that improves yourself, and do one thing today that improves other people's lives.
I love it.
And then fine print on the bottom, I'd say, do this every day.
I love it, man. That was good. See?
Or something
the cool
like
thing
that.
is that even you know, we talk about what was great about this question. Like even that question, going, what would you put on a billboard, made you think right down to that point, right?
Oh, absolutely.
Awesome. So it's the power,
and you know what?
Questions, eh? That's so good.
That would probably be a better thing to put on the billboard, is that question.
Yeah. What's great about this? What's great about this today? Oh.
What's great about today?
What am I grateful for today?
More about myself today.
What was that last one?
Because what do I love more about myself today?
Yeah, that's a good one.
And that's a very, we could go very deep with that one, because, which we won't now, but most people don't even love themselves. And that's why they treat themselves like shit. That's why they don't get in the gym. That's why they don't eat good food. That's why they, you know, wind up in a pretty bad place and don't go after things in life or anything. So I heard someone say once, and you probably know who it is, Isaac, I can't remember. Someone said, every problem that you have is a self-love problem. You remember who said that?
Nah, I remember hearing it around the time we were working with Curic, though.
It was something like that.
Yeah.
And basically what it's implying is that.
Are you sure it wasn't Curic? I thought it was like Curic.
It might have been him. Have been him. But yeah, he was saying every single challenge in your life, doesn't matter what it is, every single problem is a self-love problem. So so that's something I'm personally constantly trying to do more, is just love myself more. But it's which sounds real cliche, but or whatever. But it's like we don't always. That's the truth, and we need to. And I notice I feel that a lot more for myself. I feel more proud of myself. I feel more love for myself, more confident in everything else when I've actually done the hard work that I've set out to, whether it's doing a hard workout or. So
good on you, bro. Man, I don't think that's cliche at all. I think that's a beautiful thing, especially for this whole community anyway. You know, that's what we're all about at the end of the day. If you put it down to those two words, it's all about self-love.
Yeah.
That's cool, bro. You're a beautiful man, Stephen Wakelam.
Likewise, brother. I love you, man.
Man, thanks for your time, bro. And we'll no doubt we'll catch up with you another time as well. But thanks for being the first interview on the Prestige Fit Fam.
Man, I'm absolutely honoured. Honoured, and so rapt to still be part of this community in some capacity. But I look forward to seeing all the workouts everyone's doing, and just the success that we can all achieve during this time that we're in. That we don't know how long it's going to go for or whatever else, but I think man, it's pretty awesome that we're in this community. Yeah. That's something a lot of people don't have, and I think we're pretty blessed by it.
Same. Thanks, bro.
So yeah.
Cool, man. We'll touch base soon.
Awesome, brother.
Thanks, bro. Appreciate your time, bro.
Catch you guys soon.
See ya.